Hi, it's Matt from Go Green Auto. So here we have a BMW i3 for sale. This is a 60 amp hour range extender model, and this is actually our own car, and we've owned this for a year now. So if you don't know what the i3 is, it's very different to any other electric car. They've got a completely different construction, and they are a 4-seater hatchback, obviously designed from the start to be an electric car. And they don't have a pillar there. You've got barn doors or suicide doors, and you just get a huge amount of space inside, particularly at the front. They really do feel a big car, yet on the outside obviously they're not. And then this seat folds, both do, and to give you access to the back. So 2 seats in the back, Isofix on both sides, barn doors on both sides as well. But yeah, they are a very clever design. They are made with a carbon fibre plastic body. We can see there the reinforced carbon fibre plastic tub, which sits on an aluminium frame which houses the battery pack and the suspension. And all the panels are plastic as well. No steel on this car. It's all lightweight, but being carbon fibre, very strong of course. This car has the suite interior. BMW give all their interiors names. They're called interior worlds. This is the suite one, which is the top of the range one, so full leather interior, and it's also got the extended lighting. So when you unlock it, you get blue lighting on the inside, and when you open the doors it turns to white, and you also get illuminated door handles. So this is a range extender, so you have a petrol filler cap here. And at the back, these are rear wheel drive, so your electric motor is at the back here under the boot. So on this side you have your electric motor which drives the front wheels, and on this side is a little petrol engine. It's a little moped engine, but that just acts as a generator. It doesn't drive the car, it just charges the battery while you drive. So when your battery gets low and you haven't managed to pull in and charge, the generator kicks in and it charges the car while you drive by burning petrol of course, and that extends the range. So effectively this is an electric car that cannot run out or go flat as long as you've got fuel in, and the range is endless effectively if you keep putting fuel in. The fuel tank is quite small and generally only costs about £10 to fill up, but for that you're going to double the range, so you get sort of roughly 80-90 miles extra range on petrol in the summer, and sort of 60 miles extra range in the winter. Let's talk about charging next. So here is your charge port. This has both AC and DC rapid charging. So at the top here is your Type 2 AC connector, and this is a 7.5 kilowatt charger. A full charge is about 3 to 3.5 hours. But so typically that's your overnight charging, or when you're at work, or when you're in parked up in car parks or the like. And then this is your CCS port. So this is a 50 kilowatt CCS rapid charging port, and this gives you that 30-minute charge on the roadside if you're doing a trip. And then in the back here is our charging cable, Type 2 to Type 2, and this is what you would use to get an AC charge, and you would plug it into your home wall charger or any public AC charging post. And then if I push that button there on the keys, the frunk opens, and at the front here you have a little storage compartment, a frunk. It's not waterproof, but in here we've got the puncture repair kit, the pump and the gunk, the tow eye, the locking wheel nut key, a safety vest, and this BMW bag houses our granny cable, which is the portable charger which allows you to charge the vehicle on a normal main socket with a normal 3-pin plug. They do take longer because those can only draw 10 amp, whereas a wall charger would be 32 amp, but it means you can charge the vehicle anywhere where there's main sockets, which of course is every building in the UK. So when you're out and about, you've always got that as a backup, or when you go and stay with friends and family, or initially you would use this until you get a proper wall charger installed. So let's just jump in and get out of that cold wind. Right, so this car has also got the eucalyptus dash. And being the Suite model, we've got leather dashboard. All i3s have this nice mix of different materials. I think this is a plant-based composite material, but we've got this sort of recycled look plastic on the doors, on the top of the dash. But yes, a very nice place to be, very different to any other car. They feel very spacious. You feel like you're sat a very long way from the front, even though there's not much in front of you. It's just a very clever design. And then your gear selector is up here, which is something that the new Volkswagen ID3 has copied. But anyway, we start it with a button there. This is our gear selector. And outside temperature +2 degrees. So yeah, it's a very nice place to be. They've got a lot of equipment on them. We've got heated seats, which I'm going to stick my heated seat on there. Climate control. Nice thing on these is you've got these 8 buttons which you can assign to what you want them to be. So most people assign them to radio stations, but let me just turn the fan off there. But you can make them do anything. So for example, button 8 I've assigned to the tyre pressure monitoring. So any time we're driving, we can see the tyre pressures without having to go through the menu system. So yeah, that's great. That sort of flexible option of configuring the car to how you want. Down here we've got our iDrive selector, because that isn't a touchscreen. You use the wheel down here. Media, radio. It does have Bluetooth, DAB radio. Of course, it's got Bluetooth, telephone, navigation. We've got 3 driving modes you can select there as well. Cruise control, speed limiter. Yeah, these have got an awful lot of kit actually. So next, let's look at the mileage. Quite surprisingly, this car has done 128,615 miles. Most of that was done on the previous keeper. We've had this car now a year, and it was a high mileage car when we bought it. And that's exactly why I bought it, because I personally favour high mileage EVs, because everyone always thinks high mileage means a lot of wear and tear, as it would do with a normal ICE engine. But battery packs like to be used, and you'll normally find that a high mileage EV will have a much better battery pack than a low mileage car, because most battery degradation happens when the car's charged to 100% and they're not driven. But you don't get that with high mileage cars, because they get used every day, and that's what batteries like to be used. So I always favour high mileage cars myself, and all of our own vehicles, our Zoes, BMW i3s, Ioniqs, all the vehicles I've had personally have been high mileage cars and have had cracking battery packs. On these, it isn't actually possible to measure the state of health. All you can do is measure the current battery capacity. And battery capacity does fluctuate. So for example, like now when it's in the winter, it's very cold. You're only going to see a snapshot at that time, but in the summer when the battery's warmer, it's going to have a greater capacity. So on this car, you can see a video on the YouTube channel. I have looked at the Kappa Max figure in the hidden service menu. I can't remember exactly what it is. From new, these batteries have an 18.8 kilowatt hour capacity. I think it was 15 point something at the time, obviously in the winter, which equates to 80% state of health. But as I said, it does fluctuate. And what I'm finding, the range we're getting on this car, I would expect the battery pack is probably more like 90% state of health. But obviously you can only take my word for that. But at very worst, in the winter, it's currently 80%. But in reality, when you look at it over different temperatures and different times, I think this is sort of more nearer 90%, maybe even higher actually, because we're still getting the sort of range that you would get on these when they were nearly new. So let's just talk about range. We can see there it's showing an electric range of 58 miles and a range extender range of 60 miles. And that's about what we find in the winter. It's another very cold day today. It was sort of like -6 last night. It's only about 1 degree now outside. And we're seeing about that. We're seeing 55 to 65 mile range in the winter. It does, as always, depend on driving style and heater use. But in the summer, we're still getting about 80 miles in electric range. And then the range extender adds another 80 to 90 miles or so. So battery degradation's absolutely minimal. It's still doing pretty much what they were doing when they were new. you know, at most you would get about 90 miles out of one of these if you drove it efficiently in the summer. So the purpose of this video primarily is to show the condition, and you've probably seen my videos before. You know, I point out every little minor stone chip, scratch or dent I can find. I don't hide anything because I want people to know exactly what they're getting, and then that allows people to buy the video from afar without coming here to view it first, and then I get the vehicle delivered to you. Obviously now we're in lockdown, so you can't view cars anyway, so these videos really do help, obviously. So let's start at the front. I would just say I'm going to point out little things. All of them are incredibly minor. It is a cracking looking car. You really wouldn't think it is done anywhere near the mileage that it's done. But anyway, let's have a look at the front. So there are a few stone chips on the front, but all the panels are plastic. There's no steel in this car. And plastic panels, the stone chips tend to dent them a little bit more, whereas on a steel car it would just chip the paint. So stone chips do tend to show up a little bit more on plastic panels, but a lot of modern cars have plastic panels at the front anyway. So we've got a few stone chips here on the front bumper, but all very minor. Of course, all cars are going to get stone chips. There's a few stone chips in the black gloss bonnet, but again all very minor. There's a couple on that side I'm going to show you in a minute which are slightly bigger. You know, they as big as they get is that one there, which is what, 1.5 millimeters or so. The alloy wheels are also all scuff free, which is quite amazing for a vehicle of this age as well. So yeah, all the wheels are really nice condition, as are the tyres. The tyre tread depth are on the website, and I would just say everything I'm going to point out I've taken pictures of, so you can go on the photo gallery on the website, you can look at the pictures in full screen, and you can zoom right up and have a good look in detail. So looking around this edge, there's a few paint marks on the lip on this mirror where it's clearly rubbed on something, but very minor. Looking down here, the nice thing with cars with plastic panels is you can't dent them. They're going to spring back all the time, so you don't get dents on BMW i3s, but you might get a few scratches in the paintwork. There's one scratch there about 1.5 inches long, but quite minor. There's a few little chips in the paint there, about 2 inches worth, where the door's just been opened on other things. Alloy wheel is really nice condition. Being really picky, they're starting to bubble a little bit on the inside, but not on the outside edge, and incredibly minor. All alloy wheels do that. There is a stone chip there, or a chip in the paint just there, about 2 millimeters. Looking round here, there's a minor little scratch there, but well, scuff, very, very minor. The most significant mark on this car, which again it's pretty insignificant really, but anyway, is down here at the bottom on this gloss plastic on the bumper. There's some scuff marks here, and a little bit there, and a little bit on the parking sensor, but the parking sensor all still works fine, and that's just a reversing into a curb or something. Looking round the back, we've got parking sensors at the bottom there. This has also got a plastic cover on the top of the bumper there, because the bumpers are painted and they normally get scratched when you load things in. So when we bought the car, I put this plastic protector on to protect that, so it looks a lot better. As you can see, the boot's in really nice condition, and all very clean and tidy. And looking round here, tiny little mark there low down on the rear bumper, little scratch there, again only about 1 inch, really who would worry on a car of this age really. Alloy wheel is all scuff free again, starting to corrode a little bit on the inside edge, but again you wouldn't worry about that. There is a scratch here in the paint, but I suspect that will polish out because it's not really a scratch, so more of a mark. Again, a little bit of chipping on the door edge where that just gets opened against things, but very minor. No scratching on the mirrors. There is a little chip there in the paint, about 1.5 millimeters. Another little chip there, again very small. And there's one on this front wing. Yes, that's the biggest chip, about 3 millimeter chip there. But if you got some of this titanium silver paint, you could dab that in and it would look better. But it's all very small and everything very minor. You know, genuinely, you wouldn't think this is done anywhere near the miles that it has actually done. And looking at that wheel, again, it's just really tidy. There's a few inches there where clearly it has rubbed, but it's, you know, you wouldn't even call it a scuff or curbing. It's more like the paint has just come off on that little bit. Again, very minor, and you wouldn't really worry about it. And then looking on the inside, this is where it really is a surprise, because this interior still looks just as good as it did when it was new. Obviously with the leather seats you do get less wear than you would with cloth seats, but this seat has got absolutely zero wear and tear on the bolsters, and looks just as good as it did when it was new. And again, you just wouldn't know this car has done 128,000 miles. Even looking at the mats, you've got the original mats here, absolutely no wear on those whatsoever. And obviously everything works as it should do without any faults or errors. And then I'll just show the paperwork. So we do have 2 original keys. This one's got sort of rose gold key protector on it as well. And then we've got the quick start guide, the original warranty book. We don't have the user guide. I've had a few of these i3s and they never have, so I don't think the user guide comes with the cars. But I've got the PDF version you can download on the website. I have a feeling the user guide was actually an extra on these. But anyway, that's downloadable. And then we've got the logbook here, registered to Go Green Autos Limited. And only one previous keeper. So I bought this from the lease company a year ago, and it is registered 31st of July 2015. Last MOT was done on the 7th of July 2020, so it expires on the 30th of July 2021. Was done at 125,000 miles. The only advisory was front brake pads wearing thin, but they've now been changed anyway, and actually it turned out they weren't thin at all. And we got previous MOT certificates there. So you don't get a service book on an i3 because it's all electronic in the dash. The servicing has all been done on this at BMW dealerships. It wasn't due a service until August 2021, but we've done the service on this early just so it's ready for sale. So if I start this up, we can see here the next service is due in January 2023. And as on that service, changed the oil and filter on the range extender, new cabin filter, and it's had new disc pads all the way around, front and back. And the full details of all of that are on the website. So yeah, as I said, absolutely no faults or errors on this car. It still drives like new. There's absolutely no suspension wear or tear. It's tight. Yeah, these just drive great. And you know, you really wouldn't know, I keep saying it, but you just wouldn't know this has done the mileage it's done. It still feels like a 10 or 20,000 mile i3. I sort of wanted to keep this as a bit of experiment to see how many miles these cars can do, but this has just got so much more life left in it. The battery pack's at about 85 to 90% state of health. The range extender, I've put the stats on the website, but I looked at the ECU and got the figures out for what the range extender's actually done. I think it's only done 5,600 miles of the driving. So that petrol engine has obviously got an awful lot of life left in it as well. Yeah, so I'm just never going to be able to achieve that test, and we've now switched cars. So yes, time for this one to move on. But really, you don't want to let that mileage reflect the condition, because this has just got so much life left in it yet. It's going to obviously do an awful lot more miles, and that's what you get with EVs. It's not at all the same as a petrol or diesel vehicle where you've got an engine, a gearbox, catalytic converter and all those other accessories which are wearing all the time. And the majority of all this driving has been done on the battery pack. So yeah, this will be a cracking purchase for someone who understands that and understands how little wear and tear you get on electric vehicles. So yeah, I think I've pretty much covered everything, but as always, it's all on the website. If there's anything I've missed, the full details are on the website there to refer to. So this vehicle is ready to go, so if you're interested, give me a call or email, and I can deliver these anywhere in the country, and it will come to you on a flatbed or a trailer, and it will be fully charged and ready to use.